Hey guys, Ryan Martian here, and today I want to quickly review Jeremy Saulnier's newest film, Green Room. This will be a spoiler-free discussion, but if you want to go in completely fresh, you have been warned. The film stars Anton Yelchin and Elia Shawkat as members of a punk band who take a last-minute gig after they found out the actual gig they drove to was cancelled. It turns out the gig is at a neo-Nazi VFW hall of sorts, and after their set, one of the band members sees something they shouldn't have seen. The neo-Nazi leader, played by Patrick Stewart, takes charge to make sure both the crime and the band are taken care of. What proceeds for the next hour is gripping, disgusting, visually stunning, and a true test of the audience's tolerance for violence. This is Saulnier's much-anticipated follow-up to 2014's excellent Blue Ruin. It was one of my favorite films of that year, and it seemed to come out of nowhere. It appeared to mark the arrival of a very important new American voice in cinema in the vein of the Coen brothers, along with all their famous hallmarks. A very well-written and smart script, visually stunning direction and cinematography, along with terrific performances from the actors. Needless to say, I was very excited for Green Room when it was first announced almost 2 years ago. While it didn't leave the theater completely disappointed, I don't think Green Room was the follow-up I had hoped it would be. Unlike Macon Blair's character in Blue Ruin, I didn't really care at all about the protagonist, which was very surprising. Saulnier wrote a character with deep-seated motivations and crystal-clear intentions, which made the audience very invested in his journey and fate in Blue Ruin, but this was not the case at all with Green Room. The band is thrown into a fairly absurd situation, and I just didn't find myself rooting for them like I did with Macon Blair in Blue Ruin. In fact, Macon Blair's performance and character in this film was probably my favorite out of the entire cast and the one I was most invested in. He is someone I would really like to see in films outside of Saulnier because he has been excellent in these two films. As expected, Patrick Stewart was very good in his role, but I feel he was almost criminally underutilized in regards to both his on-screen presence and range of his character's emotions. I was just waiting for the moment when he just completely loses it, but it never really happens. I wanted a little more depth and insight from his character in order to make his actions a bit more clear. It can be argued that the exposition wasn't necessary because of the sudden environment and situation the band was thrown into. I'm all about the audience picking up details by themselves without having every little backstory explained, but I believe it would have benefited his character as a main antagonist rather than simply being a neo-Nazi leader in this particular case. From the filmmaking side, I wasn't disappointed at all. The direction, cinematography, score, and for the most part, the writing were all top-notch. There were a few very clever foreshadowing devices used earlier in the film, which will pay off nicely to those in the audience who pay attention. There was also a really tasteful jump cut that was executed perfectly. It's one of those small details that makes me appreciate the art of film. Without going into spoiler territory, most other directors would have kept the camera rolling for a fairly unnecessary scene that wouldn't have added anything to the film. Saulnier has a very clear vision on what his films should look and feel like, and he was on top of his game once again. I should also quickly note that this is a very graphic film in its portrayal of violence and gore. I found myself with my hands slightly over my eyes at few points, as the film doesn't restrain itself at all. If you are the least bit squeamish, you might want to sit this one out. It's not completely over the top, and it does make sense in regards to the tone and plot of the film, but it's extremely realistic, so I want you guys to know what you're getting into ahead of time. Overall, I'd recommend this film to people who are fans of Blue Ruin and want to see the work of an extremely promising new American filmmaker. Green Room was a bit of a downturn from his previous film, but I'm still excited to see what Saulnier has to offer next. I'd give it a 7.6 out of 10. For a bit of perspective, Blue Ruin is a solid 9 out of 10 in my opinion. As always guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like or subscribe. Thanks again.